Hey, I'm James Altucher. Go ahead and take a look at this facility in Washington, D.C., exactly 1 mile from the White House. This location is where my contact attended a private closed-door meeting alongside the world's richest man, Elon Musk. And what Elon revealed to him in this meeting, it blew my mind. It could soon change everything you know about making money. Now, as you can imagine, this meeting, of course, was never reported on by the press. In fact, only a small number of insiders were able to attend, including, I'm grateful, one of my closest contacts. And what my contact discovered from this meeting, again, it left me blown away. Because during the meeting, Elon discussed his plans for $1 trillion technological revolution, one that could send shockwaves throughout all of Wall Street, and it all has to do with Elon's greatest innovation ever called Starlink, which I'm predicting could go public in a historic IPO as soon as Thursday, March 26, 2026. And in this short video, I'm going to give you the name and ticker symbol for free of a play that allows you to get in on Starlink before its upcoming IPO, and that's a huge deal. After all, with an estimated value of more than $100 billion, Elon's upcoming Starlink IPO is set to be the biggest single IPO in history. And just to put things into perspective for you, a company like Amazon went public in 1997 at a value of just $438 million. Things have definitely changed. $438 million back then, and $100 billion potentially today for Elon's Starlink. That means Elon's Starlink IPO could be more than 228 times bigger than Amazon's IPO. It could also be 55 times bigger than Apple's IPO, 128 times bigger than Microsoft's IPO, and 177 times bigger than Nvidia's IPO, just to name just a few of these what are now multi-trillion-dollar companies. In other words, the amount of wealth that stands to be created is nothing short of extraordinary. But here's why I bring all this up. Look, there's no doubt about it. By far, the single greatest wealth creation opportunity happens by investing early in a company before it goes public. You might have heard the stories of people like the billionaire Peter Thiel, who has been on my podcast. Thiel was the first outside investor in Facebook all the way back in 2004. He purchased 10% of the company for $500,000. That put the company's total value at just $5 million. But by the time of the Facebook IPO in 2012, his 10% stake was worth more than $10.4 billion. That's an extraordinary 2,000x return in just under 8 years. And as a top venture capitalist myself, I can tell you this is a perfect example of the gains that are possible with pre-IPO investments. In fact, I've personally scored gains like making 60 times my money on one pre-IPO investment in just 5 years. This has been actually one of the primary sources of money and wealth creation for myself over the past 20 years. And when you compare those kinds of returns that are possible from investing in publicly traded companies, it's not even close. But as great as that is, there's a big problem with all of this that I really want people to listen to. As you can imagine, pre-IPO opportunities like this are almost always off limits to Main Street Americans like you. Instead, these deals are typically reserved exclusively for the wealthy and well-connected insiders who have access to them. I don't think that's fair. So that means if you're like most people, you've been completely locked out of the pre-IPO market until now. And by the time a company finally goes public on the stock market and you can invest for the first time ever, the biggest profits are already long gone. The public markets are like the last resource for a company to raise money. That's when all the venture capitalists, all the private investors who put money in for years, that's when they sell to you. So just so you know, that dynamic I don't feel is fair. In fact, as Inc. magazine reports, by the time a company goes public, 95% of all profits have already been made. That means you've been left with the table scraps, with just 5% of the total upside remaining. So if you've been investing for a while and haven't seen the results you were hoping for, or even worse, if you've lost money on your investments, it's not your fault. You simply haven't gotten a stake in these pre-IPO companies where real life-changing returns can be found. But that rigged game ends today. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you how to get a pre-IPO stake in Starlink, which is expected to be the single biggest IPO in history. And thanks to what you're about to see, you can do it before Starlink goes public, starting with as little as $100. The best part is it has nothing to do with any private off-limits deal, which means there's absolutely no requirements to what I'm about to reveal. All you need is the name and ticker symbol that I'm going to reveal to you in this video today, completely free of charge. There's no credit card, there's no email sign up needed, but with Starlink's IPO expected to be announced in 2026, your window of opportunity is obviously quickly closing. And that's why I really wanted to get this video out to people. I've dropped everything to rush you the details on this pre-IPO opportunity and how to position yourself. Because look, even if the IPO happens in March of 2026, Elon could announce this Starlink IPO to the world, and then at that point, your chance at the biggest gains might be gone forever. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I go any further, let me back up and show you why Starlink is a true game changer and why it's expected to go down as the single biggest IPO in history. In short, Elon has just rolled out a radical new breakthrough in how the world uses and receives internet access. Again, we use internet access for everything. Imagine when the Wi-Fi goes down in your house. You're in big trouble until it's fixed. In fact, due to this new technology, due to Starlink, major companies that you almost certainly do business with could be poised to fall into obsolescence or even bankruptcy. Companies like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and more, all could soon go completely kaput. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to prove all that to you. I will share pictures of Starlink's technology. I'll prove to you why Starlink is poised to change everything about our way of life, from how we shop, to how we travel, to how we conduct business. Down to a personal level too, changing how we interact with our friends and family. And I'll just tell you a brief story. So a few weeks ago, my Wi-Fi went out. I called, one of the companies mentioned above. I called one of these big phone companies and said, what happened to my Wi-Fi? And they said, oh, we don't know. We'll send somebody to your house in 3 or 4 days, and you'll have to be sitting there the whole time. Well, I went out, I got Starlink, I put it together myself, I installed it. Within less than 24 hours, I had internet access again, while Verizon was still trying to figure out the problem. That's important to me. And as a leading venture capitalist and angel investor, I'll also show you an inside track to how you can invest in this technology, how you can invest pre-IPO in Starlink. So in this short video, you're going to discover the name and ticker symbol for free that allows you to get a stake before Starlink goes public, where a small pre-IPO investment as little as just $100 could give you the shot at an extraordinary windfall potential. After all, we're talking about a potential IPO that could be 228 times bigger than Amazon. So with that said, let me show you what I mean. History shows that situations like this are when investors have the rare shot at getting extraordinarily rich. Anytime the stakes are this high, when trillions of dollars hang in the balance, when technologies like Starlink can pioneer a whole new future, while at the same time sending other technologies, even whole companies, into an early grave, investors who recognize what's happening and take action have the chance to amass incredible wealth. You see, each time a situation like this happens, enormous amounts of money are lost by those who don't see what's happening as old technologies become obsolete. And more importantly for you, massive amounts of money are made by those who see what's coming ahead of time. And mark my words, what's coming next is a radical new internet powered directly by Elon Musk. And it all has to do with his new Starlink technology, which is sweeping the globe. Like literally, it's satellites surrounding the entire globe. And I predict this is set to go public in early 2026. A technology that beams lightning fast speeds down to you directly from space and makes all other forms of internet obsolete. So, what type of gains do I predict you can expect to see? Well, let's take a look at what the first introduction of the internet did for early investors. After AOL introduced internet access via dial-up connection, for example, their stock soared a rare, massive 81,844% in about 7 years. People barely even knew what the internet was then, and yet that stock went up over 81,000%. 1,000%. Just think about that. That turns a $1,000 stake into $800,000, or a $10,000 stake into more than $8 million. It was the same thing with the company Earthlink when they helped usher in the age of DSL. I don't know if you remember DSL. What it was is it meant no more clogging up your phone line to access the internet. Their stock shot up 6,638% over the next 3 years. Again, let's talk about Comcast. As cable internet came and replaced DSL throughout the country, revolutionizing the internet once again, Comcast investors were rewarded with an eye-popping 46,222% gains between 1980 and 2017. And of course, these are rare, these are extraordinary examples that require near-perfect timing, but these examples are real, and they demonstrate the extreme, life-changing profit potential when you get into the right stock at the right time. That's all you need to do. You just need to do it once, twice, maybe 3 times, and you're good. And as you can see, the same situation has played out over and over again throughout history. Whenever the internet takes a huge leap forward, untold amounts of wealth are made over time by people who see it coming, which is why I am sending you this urgent message today. Because as I learned from my contact who attended this private meeting, Starlink stands to be the biggest and most radical internet breakthrough ever. And according to my research, I expect Elon is preparing to take Starlink public in 2026 in what Fortune reports will be the single biggest IPO in history. And in just a moment, I'm going to reveal to you 3 smoking guns, what I consider proof that Elon is quietly laying the groundwork for the upcoming Starlink IPO. And then I will reveal for free the name and ticker symbol of the play that gives you a pre-IPO stake in Starlink before it goes public. I really want, my whole goal over the past 20 years of both professionally investing and writing about investments and stocks and other things, my whole goal is to level the playing field. There is no reason why people in Wall Street make all the money and people in Silicon Valley make all the money and everybody in the middle just gets the scraps. I want to give investors the chance to profit early before everyone else on what's set to be the biggest IPO ever. And more on that in just a second. But first, before we go any further, let me just back up, quickly introduce myself to you. My name, as I mentioned, is James Altucher. I've been recognized by CNBC, by others, as a top venture capitalist, angel investor, hedge fund insider. I ran a hedge fund. In fact, little-known opportunities like the one I'm telling you about today have been my bread and butter for years. You see, over the past few decades, I've been able to amass a significant personal fortune by getting in on early-stage pre-IPO plays. For example, let's give you some examples. I was a pre-IPO investor in Ticketfly, which went up 37 times between 2009 and 2015. I also had a pre-IPO stake in Buddy Media, where I made 60 times my money between 2007 and 2012, to name just a few. Now, I don't say this to brag, but to prove a point. As I told you earlier, by the time a company goes public on the stock market, the biggest profits have already been made by insiders like me. And that's why I'm so excited about this next opportunity. With a red-hot IPO market, and for reasons that I'm going to show you, I'm all but certain a Starlink IPO is on the immediate horizon in 2026. What's more, like you saw, Starlink's IPO is primed to be the biggest IPO ever. And for the first time ever, you have the chance to invest early and get a pre-IPO stake in the company before it goes public. All you need is the name and ticker symbol of the play that I will reveal right here today in just a few moments. First, before I do that, let me show you precisely why Starlink could be so big. You have, of course, heard of Wi-Fi. It's what connects your devices, your computer, tablet, phone, to the internet. Simply put, Wi-Fi is the backbone of the internet. Without it, the internet would not be possible. Well, through Starlink, Elon Musk has designed a radical change to Wi-Fi and to the internet itself. So, what is Starlink? It involves the technology Elon discussed at this meeting where I had a man on the inside. In short, Starlink is the new future of the internet. That's why it's so exciting to me. For the first time ever, the company has cut out all traditional wireless networks and internet providers, and instead it beams fast, reliable, unlimited internet from satellites in space down to your devices. Think about all the the technologies that end up having the most value. It's the technologies that do away with the middlemen. And that's exactly what Starlink does. For the first time ever, there's not cables and wires and devices and routers and all these things that are in between you and the internet. This is internet being beamed directly down from satellites in space. That means no more unsightly cell towers will be required around your neighborhood or anything like that. Once signed up, you'll simply receive lightning-fast internet sent to you from high-tech satellites in space at all times. That's why Bloomberg calls this new technology internet delivered from the heavens. Whether you're in Manhattan or in a remote rural cabin, you'll always have the chance to be connected to blazing speeds. And because of that, Starlink could be the world's fastest, most reliable internet. It could also become the cheapest, delivering these speeds at just a fraction of the price you pay now. And for these reasons, Starlink is entirely reinventing the old internet as we know it. Starlink began with a simple question. What if Elon could eliminate the need for any kind of cell tower at all, and instead beam internet from space straight through the air to anywhere in the world, no matter how remote it is? It would be faster and better than the internet you receive now, and it could be vastly cheaper as well due to not having any widespread construction costs. After all, there'd be no need to dig up neighborhoods, install cables, build cell towers, all of which can cost hundreds of billions of dollars. And that means Starlink can provide lightning-fast speeds anywhere in the world at a fraction of the cost, making it a no-brainer for everyone. And it's amazing, like you would now truly be able to deliver internet to the entire world. And Elon's plan has already played out. As you may know, Starlink has already launched a constellation of more than 6,750 highly advanced satellites. Satellites that beam uninterrupted, high-speed internet from space down to you, your phone, your computer, your tablet, or any other device. That's because Starlink's thousands of satellites now wrap around the entire planet, forming a network to reach and deliver lightning-fast internet to every inch of the world, from Wall Streeters to Manhattan, New York City, to, I don't know, vacationers in Paris, France, to workers on the world's most remote farms in New Zealand, to the poorest African villages. In fact, Starlink now reaches more than 6 million customers. I'm proudly one of them as of a few weeks ago, a number that's growing by a staggering 50% year over year. And that kind of growth should not surprise you. After all, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that having cheaper, faster, total coverage service could cripple the trillion-dollar telecom industry over time. Even better, that means, again, no need for those unsightly towers and transmitters popping up in your neighborhood either. No need to wait a week for some repairman to fix a down Wi-Fi. Like, again, it's just beaming down to you all the time, 24 hours a day. So for consumers like you and me, Starlink, I could say, is a godsend. For the $2.18 trillion telecom industry, it's actually their worst nightmare. And odds are, if you're like me, you do business with companies like AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, or others to receive internet and phone service. And odds are, again, you've had a negative experience with them. Not to mention the price. Did you know that here in America, you're paying more than any other country for internet service that also ranks among the slowest in the world? This is just ridiculous. Let's just compare it with Venezuela. 8 out of 10 people in the country don't even have enough money for food, and yet their mobile internet speeds are twice as fast as ours. Are you kidding me? The average American today could pay nearly $200 a month for their service that's among the worst in the world. Just compare that with South Korea, where people pay only $20 per month for speeds 5 times faster than ours. News even came out recently that here in America, Comcast, guess what? They're raising costs of their service at 4 times the rate of inflation. Does that seem fair to you? Of course not. And that's not even the worst of it. Take Verizon, for example. News came out in 2018 that during one of the worst California wildfires in years, firefighters who rely on internet service to track and stop fires, they experienced significantly slowed service as Verizon cut their speeds to 1/200th of what they previously were. Verizon then forced these firefighters who were working hard to save lives to pay twice as much to resume normal service. To me, this is criminal. And luckily, thanks to Elon's innovation, this is finally becoming a thing of the past. And I fully expect Starlink could cripple these companies in the coming months and years as it begins to dominate market share. After all, why would you, I, or anyone else pay as much as $200 per month when over time Elon could begin to provide far better, far faster, unlimited internet service everywhere in the world at a fraction of the cost? It's the biggest no-brainer option ever. In fact, it's already happening. Elon's Starlink has already been rolled out to millions of people worldwide. The satellites, they're already in orbit. His plan has been successfully pulled off. And Starlink is already rolled out and disrupting everything. It's being used on cruise ships and planes throughout the world. It's being used in war zones and natural disasters when all other access to internet service have been cut off. It's even being used in more than 2.6 million households, according to Elon, a number that I expect will soon skyrocket as the adoption of this tech accelerates. In fact, in the long run, I expect this could begin to be used by all 330 million Americans and all 7.8 billion people worldwide. And by acting on the name and ticker symbol that I am about to give you, you have the chance to position yourself before Starlink's IPO takes place. And that's not all. You see, Starlink is much more than just a new type of Wi-Fi. I predict it's also set to launch one of the biggest and transformative economic disruptions of the decade. That's because, as it stands, more than 5.2 billion people worldwide use the internet. And these 5.2 billion people conduct trillions of dollars worth of transactions on the internet per year. They buy books, they buy clothes, electronic devices, and just about everything else online. But there's an even bigger side to this story that most people aren't paying attention to. There are 2.9 billion people globally who do not have any access to the internet whatsoever. And by connecting these people, many of whom live in remote, rural areas, it can help unlock trillions of dollars in further economic value, which is exactly what Starlink is doing right now. After all, because Starlink's internet comes to you from satellites that wrap the entire Earth, it can reach anywhere in the world, no matter how remote it may be. And that's why we're talking about untold amounts of wealth on the line here, in an opportunity that I believe could be just as big or bigger as AOL, Earthlink, or Comcast. And here's the kicker. I expect Elon is gearing up to announce his plans to take this company public in the single biggest IPO in history, a historic IPO that's going to change everything. And how can I be so certain about that? As I mentioned to you earlier, it all has to do with the 3 smoking guns that I've discovered. And I believe this is proof that Elon is quietly laying the groundwork to announce an imminent IPO. Once you see this, I am confident you'll understand exactly why this situation is so urgent and why I've dropped everything to rush you this video today. I want people to benefit from this news. And as I show you the proof that I've gathered, you can decide for yourself if you want to ride along and potentially get rich as Elon shocks the world yet again, or if you think I'm just full of hot air and empty promises. It's your choice to make, of course, and I hope this sounds fair. So let's get right into it. Smoking gun Exhibit A. Elon tweet confirms a Starlink IPO is imminent. First, during my research, I came across a little-known statement from Elon himself. Although it received little fanfare, all the way back in 2021, he said the following: "Once we can predict cash flow reasonably well, Starlink will IPO." That's a pretty straightforward statement. And as you can see, Elon planned to take Starlink public as soon as the company's cash flow was predictable. That was the only roadblock that's been holding the IPO back. Well, just recently, Elon announced the following news. Excited to announce that Starlink has achieved break-even cash flow. In other words, the company has now officially crossed that milestone. That is a big deal, and I see that as a clear sign that an IPO could be coming soon. And think about what that means, by the way. He has to put 6,000 satellites in space. That involves building the satellites, building the rockets, launching them into space. So for that to be break-even cash flow and everything, all the infrastructure is already in space, so that those expenses are done. That's an amazing statement for him to make. But that's not all. Smoking gun Exhibit B. Why Elon needs to take Starlink public in 2026. There's want and then there's needs. While Elon is the world's richest man with a net worth above $400 billion, almost all of that money is invested in his various companies. In other words, he doesn't just have a bank account with billions of dollars sitting in it ready to spend whenever. To make matters worse, some of his companies, like X, aren't profitable at all. As a result, whenever Elon is forced to raise cash, he has to pull it from one of his companies. Particularly since it's his only publicly traded company, he takes money out of Tesla and sells Tesla shares in order to fund the other companies. And as Barron's reported back in 2023, when Elon needs money, his only option is to sell Tesla stock. That was the case recently when Musk was forced to sell some $23 billion in Tesla shares to keep X afloat. One of the reasons the stock tumbled more than 50% during that period. Again, it's not like Elon Musk needs to spend $400 billion to buy some houses and buy some cars. He uses that money he uses significant amounts of his own personal money to fund these incredible companies like Tesla or SpaceX or Starlink. All of this gives Elon another big reason to do a Starlink IPO. By taking a second company public, he'd be able to sell shares and free up billions of dollars in cash. He'd also be able to eliminate the pressure on Tesla shares, which is why, according to Barron's, what Musk really needs is another publicly traded company that would allow him to unlock some of his wealth and take the pressure off of Tesla. And with Starlink already estimated to be worth $100 billion plus, and with Elon controlling more than 42% of the company, making a stake worth over $42 billion, it's a no-brainer for Elon to take Starlink public as soon as possible. In fact, time is of the essence, because in his mission to make xAI compete with ChatGPT, Elon has poured billions of dollars into xAI with plans to invest many billions more. To do so, again, he could always continue to sell off Tesla stock, causing the share price to collapse. Or, even better, he can take Starlink public in 2026, like he predicted he would do all the way back in 2021. To me, the choice is obvious, and I'm still not finished yet. I saved the best for last here. Smoking gun, Exhibit C. Bloomberg drops bombshell regarding the 2026 Starlink IPO. As you may know, Starlink is just one subsidiary of a parent company called SpaceX. Due to that, Elon's plan is to take Starlink public without taking the entire SpaceX company public. To do so, he plans to separate Starlink from SpaceX in a process called a spinoff, which would form two separate companies. Well, rumors have been spreading behind the scenes that that's exactly what's happening. Take a look at this 2023 report from Bloomberg. SpaceX is discussing an initial public offering for its fast-growing Starlink satellite business, people with knowledge of the matter said. They then added, to get ready, SpaceX has been moving the satellite unit's assets to a wholly owned subsidiary that would ultimately be spun off in the IPO. In other words, the company is already making moves behind the scenes to prepare for the IPO, and that brings me back to what I'm predicting is about to take place. Once Elon announces Starlink's 2026 IPO, early investors, of course, stand to amass a fortune. This is why getting this video out was so important to me, because there is still time. But as I've mentioned, I am so convinced this IPO is going to be announced earlier rather than later. I really wanted to not just write this down and email it to a bunch of people, but really get this message across in a lot of ways, particularly this video. And that's why I'm urging people to take action immediately and set yourself up before this all happens. Because as I've shown you here today, this could present the rare opportunity to really strike it rich. And again, it's not about, getting money to buy the latest car or a bigger house or whatever. This is about finding the ways to increase your financial freedom, your financial health, the financial freedom for your family, for your children. This is really important, and it's not fair to me when I see just either Wall Street or Silicon Valley, the extreme, east side of the country and the extreme west side of the country. Why should they be the only ones to benefit and not the 300 million people in the middle? And if there's one thing I've learned about this business, it's that chances like this really do only come around once in a lifetime. And when they do, 99% of people do nothing. They simply sit on the sidelines and get left behind. And why should they do something? I mean, they've got other things going on. Everybody's got something going on in their lives. Not everybody keeps in touch with the daily movements of all these opportunities and when the opportunity becomes just right to strike. But for the small 1% of investors who see what's coming and take action, their life could quickly change forever. I mean, after all, as you've seen, every time the internet undergoes a radical transformation like this, investors who see what's coming have the chance to create extraordinary wealth. Case in point, just look at some of the top performing examples I showed you earlier. In just 7 years, we saw AOL soar 81,844%, enough to turn every $500 invested into $409,720. So that was just $500. We also watched as Earthlink skyrocketed 6,638% in just 3 years. That turns a $500 stake into over $33,000 in profits. And over the long run, in the past several decades, Comcast has done even better than that. Shares of the company catapulted 46,222%, which it's remarkable. It turns a single investment of just $500 into $231,110. What if you had doubled that starting stake to $1,000? An investor would be sitting on nearly $500,000 in profits. If I regret anything, I wish when I was a tiny little kid, I could have begged my dad or my mom to take a job at Comcast, but they didn't do it. Now, of course, these rare and extraordinary gains are among the biggest gains we could find in internet history, and they involve perfect timing. While these companies took off and skyrocketed, there were, of course, more that failed and went to zero. We all know all investing carries risk. Because of that, you should never invest more than you can afford to lose. And of course, nobody has a crystal ball, so it can be difficult to pinpoint these exact moves in real time. However, this growth really did happen. That's important to remember. And here's where things get really exciting. For reasons you saw, I believe Elon's Starlink could be even bigger than AOL's introduction of the internet via dial-up connection, or Earthlink's DSL, or Comcast cable internet. In fact, I think Starlink may be bigger than all three combined. And what's more, by connecting billions of previously unconnected people, Elon's Starlink could hold the hidden key to unlocking trillions of dollars in additional economic value. And because of that, I fully expect this will go down as the single biggest IPO in history. And even better, thanks to the ticker symbol of the stock that I'm about to tell you, you'll have the first ever chance to get a pre-IPO stake before Starlink goes public. But before I get into that, let me fully introduce myself to you and explain why I am so eager to share this information. My name, as I mentioned earlier, is James Altucher, and in addition to being a venture capitalist, an angel investor, I've been an entrepreneur. I've started and sold many companies. I'm a hedge fund manager, a Wall Street Journal best-selling author. For example, if my name sounds familiar, you might recognize me from one of my best-selling books, one of which USA Today called one of the 12 best business books of all time. Perhaps you've listened to my podcast, The James Altucher Show, which has been downloaded more than 70 million times and has featured guests like Ray Dalio, the biggest hedge fund manager in the world, or Mark Cuban and Peter Thiel. You may even know me from, I previously ran a hedge fund, Formula Capital, or my $200 million VC firm called 212 Ventures. Whatever the case, the reason that over 150,000 people from all walks of life follow me is simple. It's all due to my ability over decades now to spot massive investment megatrends early, long before anyone else. For example, all the way back in the 90s, when the internet was first getting off the ground, I predicted that video streaming services would soon take off and become the future. And by the way, this is how I met Mark Cuban, who was running broadcast.com at the time. Sure enough, just a few years later, of course, my prediction played out exactly as I expected it would, with the rise of companies like YouTube and Netflix and on and on. Anyone who bought Netflix during its 2002 IPO and held on until today is up more than 434-fold, enough to turn $1,000 into $535,000 over 22 years. Then again in 2007, this time I made a prediction regarding Facebook, which was still just a tiny startup. You see, a few months earlier, this is in 2007, Yahoo had made a $1 billion bid to buy the company. And to the surprise of almost everyone, Facebook turned it down. Most people thought at that time, how could you turn down $1 billion? Was Mark Zuckerberg, was he making a huge mistake? But once again, I saw what nobody else did. I wrote an article for the Financial Times and I made a prediction that Facebook would one day be worth $100 billion. I went on CNBC that day, the same day I made that prediction, and everyone laughed at me. But within a matter of years, that's exactly what happened. And today, as you may know, Facebook is a giant company worth more than $1.9 trillion. CNBC actually had me on the IPO day just to basically acknowledge that I was correct. So look, it happened again in 2013. That's when I made an appearance on CNBC and told people that Bitcoin was about to change the world. Back then, almost nobody had heard of Bitcoin, and some were even calling it a Ponzi scheme. But I knew, I had done my research, I knew better. So I saw that Bitcoin had the potential to reshape how we think about money forever. So I told people that Bitcoin was the future. It was the internet of money, and that it was going to change the world back in 2013 when it traded at just $114. Can you imagine how different your life might be if you had bought Bitcoin all the way back in 2013? Anyone who had done so and held on until today with Bitcoin surging well beyond $100,000 would be worth a fortune. And this is just scratching the surface of my long history of accurate calls, many of which I've personally benefited from. Now, I don't bring up these past predictions to brag. Instead, I show you this to make an important point. Just like all of my previous predictions, I know most people are going to laugh and dismiss my message here today. It's happened every single time. They'll think that despite all of his previous successes, there's simply no way Elon can pull the Starlink IPO off. Sadly, because of that, they'll all get left behind on the chance to position themselves before what could be the biggest IPO in history. In fact, if you missed out on Netflix, Facebook, Bitcoin, don't worry, because this Starlink pre-IPO opportunity could be even bigger. What you're seeing today is without a doubt one of the biggest stories of the decade, and I say that with 100% certainty. The fact is, I believe Elon's Starlink could be much bigger than any of his previous ventures. It could be bigger than PayPal, Tesla, or even X. It might even be bigger than all of them put together. After all, I believe Starlink is poised to permanently disrupt the $2.18 trillion telecom industry, potentially putting out all of the big internet giants, putting them out of business, all while unlocking trillions of dollars of currently untapped economic potential. Simply put, the amount of money at stake here is nothing short of life-changing. And thanks to the play that I'm going to reveal to you for free, you have the first ever chance to act before the Starlink IPO. So what is this play and how can you take action? And also I want to add, why am I doing this video? I mentioned all of my credentials before, but one thing I didn't necessarily mention is that while I've been a professional investor these past 25 years or so, I've also had a dual track. I've always loved writing and writing about finance. I've written for columns for years for the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, Yahoo Finance, TheStreet.com. I was a regular contributor on CNBC. I've always wanted to build a community around myself of people who care about their financial freedom and their financial health, and they care about, they just want to know that their family they've well protected their families and life is good. They don't have that big anxiety about money. I've had that anxiety before in my life. It is unpleasant to say the least. Everybody's experienced it, and I want to help people avoid that. And I love building this community. It gives me such great pleasure. And listen, you know, this is, again, it's not like I make videos every day. This is, again, one of those key opportunities that are rare to find and rare to take advantage of. So what is this play? What is this free play that could take advantage of the Starlink IPO, and how can you take action? Well, I can guarantee the stock is unlike anything you've ever heard of or seen before. It was founded by one of the top private market experts in the country, a man who had a genius idea several years back, and that's when he realized that there was a massive unserved market when it comes to Main Street America and the red-hot pre-IPO markets. Specifically, he realized that there was enormous demand for people to get into these pre-IPO companies, but they were locked out by law. In other words, they were unable to invest directly into them. So this man did something brilliant. He set up an investment fund called the Destiny Tech 100 and mandated that the fund invest exclusively in the fastest growing pre-IPO companies. He then took this investment fund public on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol DXYZ, meaning absolutely anyone could buy it inside their own account. And therein lies this opportunity and the way it works. The Destiny Tech 100 Fund holds stakes in not only Starlink, but also OpenAI, Epic Games, and all of the world's other largest pre-IPO companies. In fact, 50% of the entire fund is invested into SpaceX, the parent company of Starlink. Of course, because the fund controls its holdings, they could choose to sell some of its Starlink position, but I don't see why they would do that. And by purchasing shares in the Destiny Tech 100 Fund, which trades under the ticker DXYZ, you can claim a pre-IPO stake in Starlink, as well as all of these other companies, and like OpenAI or SpaceX. And as Starlink, OpenAI, and all of its other holdings go public, which they will all do over time, and they go public and they will, as they explode in value, shares of this fund, DXYZ, could skyrocket into the stratosphere. In fact, if Starlink goes public in 2026, as I expect, the fund might even use the IPO as an exit event, cashing out for its shareholders like you. And of course, not every company the fund holds will be a winner. Maybe they will be, but maybe they won't. But all it takes is a few big pre-IPO plays to make up for any possible losses, and then some. But here's the thing. Of course, you're more than welcome to go out and buy DXYZ shares inside your brokerage account, and you'll almost certainly do quite well. After all, as I walked you through here today, Starlink is expected to be the single biggest IPO in history, a staggering 228 times bigger than Amazon's 1997 IPO. And at the same time, with a red-hot IPO market, many of DXYZ's holdings, like OpenAI and Epic Games, stand to shoot through the roof. But as great as that is, if you do so, you might be leaving a lot of money on the table. That's because, although you won't hear about it in the mainstream media, there is another side to the Starlink IPO story that's even 10x bigger. You see, Starlink is facing a major roadblock in its rollout that threatens to derail the entire company's operations. And to fix this, I'm predicting Elon will have no choice but to announce the buyout of one obscure tech play for tens of billions of dollars. And investors who position themselves in this tech company before Elon buys it out will have the chance at amassing staggering wealth potential. Let me explain. According to Elon himself, Starlink faces a huge hurdle, one he needs to overcome in order for the company to reach its true potential. That hurdle all has to do with Starlink's lack of direct-to-device connectivity. You see, as of today, here's what happens. Starlink's technology works like this. The satellites in space beam internet service down to a Starlink terminal, and that terminal then transmit the lightning-fast speeds to your device. I know all this. I just set it up for myself. In other words, as of today, using and connecting to Starlink requires carrying around a bulky terminal wherever you go, like the one you see here. Now, of course, if you're just providing internet service for your home, you don't have to do that, but for using it remote, it's not practical. And needless to say, that's not going to be sufficient for most people, meaning Starlink and its rollout have been hampered by this shortcoming, which is why Elon has bet the entire future of his company on direct-to-device connections, even going so far as to say it's a major game changer that will be essential going forward. And this is from a guy where everything seems like a major game changer, but he's identifying this opportunity as the major game changer. And that's where this obscure tech play comes in, which I expect Elon needs to buy out for tens of billions of dollars. This brilliant company that I'm talking about has pioneered a radical workaround which involves the new satellites you see here. In short, they've developed satellite technology which creates an entire cell tower in space. Unlike Starlink satellites that transmit service down to a terminal which then delivers internet to your device, this company has simplified the process entirely, and guess what? It's cut out the terminal. Instead, their satellite serves as a cell tower itself, which then beams internet directly to you and your devices, just like any ordinary cell tower on the ground does. And because the small tech play owns patent number 9973266, which you can see here, they're the only company in the world that can use this technology. The only one, and it's an amazing technology, which is why what happens next is pretty clear. Since they're fully protected by this patent, I expect Elon has no choice but to buy this company out for tens of billions of dollars in order to integrate its patented direct-to-device technology. And that's why I'm urging you to position yourself right away. This is, of course, DXYZ is a great pick. You'll do fine. But this is the way to really win, because I expect this buyout will be announced before the Starlink IPO takes place. And this is the benefit of constantly researching these types of technologies. And it's one thing to invest in the top headline plays. It's another to find the nuances, the backdoor plays that are going to benefit even greater. In fact, I believe this company, this small tech play that owns that patent, this is the missing piece that Elon needs. And with the IPO expected to be announced soon, the time to act, of course, is sooner rather than later, is now rather than then. So to recap, as I learned from my own personal contact who attended this meeting, Elon Musk has developed the biggest internet breakthrough ever called Starlink. And according to my own research, I believe he's set to announce his plans to take this company called Starlink public in an upcoming IPO on Thursday, March 26, 2026. That date is when the largest and most important industry event, known as SAT Show, will take place, where all the top industry insiders, investors, and even NASA government officials, they all gather together. And if Elon intends, as I speculate, this elite meeting makes it the perfect place to announce to the world that he's spinning off Starlink from SpaceX, which he's now taking public. But that's not all. As he makes the IPO announcement, I'm predicting Elon will announce this multi-billion-dollar buyout that I've told you about at this very event. And of course, as I mentioned, you can go out and buy the company, Destiny Tech 100 Inc. The ticker is DXYZ, which gives you pre-IPO exposure to Starlink and other companies. But I believe the biggest gains of all stand to be made in this obscure tech play that I predict Elon will buy out for tens of billions of dollars. As I showed you, this acquisition is the only roadblock that I believe is holding Starlink back from its IPO. For that reason, I predict the deal will be unveiled at this event alongside Starlink's IPO announcement, which is why I'm urging you to act right away. Because if you're not in by the time the deal's announced, of course, you'll be too late and the biggest windfall profits will have already been made. This is what we're always trying to avoid, is to once it's in the headlines, it's no longer a good investment, trust me. That's why, to make it as easy as possible for you, I've put the complete details on this company, along with all of my research, into a special report called Elon's Big Buyout, the #1 Starlink IPO stock to buy now. It shows you everything you need to know to get started right away. The company name, the ticker symbol, how to buy shares today, and much, much more. And because you've made it this far, I really want to rush this report to your email right now, ready for immediate download. Here's the best part. During my time as a hedge fund manager, my time as a venture capitalist, my time as an angel investor and entrepreneur, wealthy clients would routinely pay me a fortune, hundreds of thousands of dollars in annual fees. And considering the results I delivered to them over the years, they were more than happy to do so. And because of that, I could easily charge thousands of dollars for the research in my new report, Elon's Big Buyout, the #1 Starlink IPO stock to buy now. After all, if my prediction comes true, the information inside could potentially be worth millions of dollars to the right investor when the potential buyout news breaks. But I don't want you to pay a cent for this report. Instead, I want to get this research into your hands for free today. To claim it, all I ask is that you take a risk-free trial to my monthly research advisory called Altiture's Investment Network. You see, every month I track down the biggest new investment megatrends like Starlink and its upcoming IPO, opportunities that my research shows have the potential to hand early investors huge wealth. And then I share them with well over 150,000 private readers in Altiture's Investment Network. And remember, I've been doing this for over 20 years. Alongside being a professional investor, as I said earlier, I've really made it my life's mission to level the playing field, which is why I've written all these books on investing. I was a columnist for the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, many other places. And I love doing this. I love building that community of people who are interested in financial freedom. Quite frankly, there's no other resource like this in the world, and it's all due to my extensive Rolodex, which nobody else in the world has. As a reader of Altiture's Investment Network, you'll always have the complete inside scoop. Imagine being in the room with the world's smartest scientists discovering the world-changing breakthroughs they're working on, as they're working on them. Imagine having access to the world's top tech insiders, being as close to them as possible, discovering how to invest in the biggest new innovations before they change the world. Imagine knowing about the world's biggest technology breakthroughs long before your friends, family, or anyone else you know ever hears about them. Now imagine, and this is the key part, of course, how much money you could make if you had access to this kind of information every single month. Well, as a reader of Altucher's Investment Network, you'll have exactly that. So, how much does access to Altucher's Investment Network cost? I think you're going to like the answer. It's only a tiny fraction of what you would imagine. More on that in just a moment. But first, let me give you a closer look at everything you're going to receive starting as soon as you join me today. Here's everything you'll receive instantly today. 6 monthly newsletter issues. Each issue of Altucher's Investment Network covers a big investment megatrend and shows you how to profit. Free report, Elon's big buyout, the #1 Starlink IPO stock to buy now. Weekly email alerts. As stories change over time or a company we hold releases a new product, I'll show you everything you need to know. That way there's never any guesswork. You'll always know what's going on. Urgent trading alerts. Whenever it's time to make a move in the markets, I will send you an email showing you what to do and why. If a company we hold is shooting up and it's time to cash out our gains, I'll send you an email showing you how to take action. If an urgent opportunity crosses my desk, I'll send you an email showing you how to take action. Whatever the case, you're never alone in this venture. Access to the special members-only website. Immediately after joining, you'll also receive a login to the special Altucher's Investment Network members-only website. You can read all the back issues and see all the alerts I've sent. You can download and read all the special reports that I've issued. You can track our model portfolio in real time. We keep track of everything, and much, much more. This is my favorite part. You also get quarterly Q&A calls. Every quarter, I host a private Q&A call where I share with you what I'm researching, where the biggest profit potential is, what I'm personally excited about, and I answer any questions I see being asked. You'll be invited to listen in on these quarterly calls immediately after joining today. Everything you receive is designed to put you in front of the biggest investment stories long before anyone else. You'll always have what I consider the inside scoop before everybody else, delivered to you in plain, simple, immediately actionable alerts. And alongside that, you'll also receive my complete research and analysis breaking down everything. That way, everything is made as easy as possible for you. And because my mission with this research is to help both experienced and first-time investors alike, again, I make it as simple as possible to understand. So how much is a subscription to Altucher's Investment Network? Well, don't forget, it is a premium research service. My work is followed by people at Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and others, as well as over 150,000 Main Street Americans across the country, all of whom follow my work to get access to the latest investment stories long before anyone else. And you could join them starting just minutes from now. Just listen to what some of my happiest readers have to say. One reader, John R., age 47 from Michigan, wrote in to say that he loved my analysis on all sectors of the market, and thanks to my advice, he was able to buy Ethereum early at, guess what, just $275. I mean, Ethereum now is at $4,000. Another reader, Bethany C., 61 from Florida, told me she's planning to retire in the next few years and has made a lot of money by following my work. In her case, Bethany was able to make a 419% gain over 12 months thanks to my research, good for a profit of $89,785. And a third, Patrick L. from Nevada, said that just a single recommendation of mine was able to pay for his subscription many times over. In fact, Patrick saw a 577% gain in just 11 months for a profit of $19,485. These are just a few of the thousands upon thousands of thank you notes my happiest readers have sent me. And keep in mind, if you were to hire a money manager, you'd pay tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, often for market-lagging performance. In fact, the Financial Post reports that the average money manager struggles to even beat the market's performance of about 7% per year on average. Now compare that with the performance of my readers who have seen the chance to make 2x, 3x, even 7x their money over just a few years. Even if you start with just a small amount of money, you could see how to grow it into a fortune over time, just like many of my readers have already had the chance to do. For that reason, a price tag of $1,000 or more to access Altucher's investment network would be a steal. After all, just look at a few of the top recommendations I've issued in recent years. For example, back in early 2021, the cryptocurrency Solana was little known and wasn't on most people's radar. That's when I sent an alert to all of my readers urging them to buy, which you can see pictured here. As I told my readers in the alert, the Ethereum blockchain had experienced a number of problems, and I expected the Solana blockchain to fix these problems. So I told my readers to buy Solana, and I gave them specific instructions on how to do so back when the then obscure crypto traded at just around $11. Today, the same coin trades above $200, enough to turn $1,000 into over $20,000. And what's more, we still hold on to that trade, and I expect these profits to continue to climb in the months ahead. Or here's another recommendation I issued in 2019, this time for a technology company called The Trade Desk. At the time, very few people knew about the company, and it certainly wasn't being talked about in the mainstream media, but my analysis of the company showed it had a world-class suite of products, was growing rapidly, and had the potential for enormous growth. So I sent my readers another buy alert detailing what the company was and why it was such a great opportunity. At the time, the Trade Desk traded for just around $22, and by the end of last year, it reached a high of nearly $140. And just like Solana, we continue to hold onto the position in our model portfolio, and I expect the biggest profits are yet to come. And that's not all. Just look at another stock I told our readers to buy, an AI company called SoundHound. When I recommended the stock just a few years ago in 2023, as the AI boom was just getting its start, SoundHound shares traded for less than $2.50. Within 14 months or so, the same shares went to nearly $24, close to a tenfold return in just over a year. We closed out that trade for a 269% profit after around a year and a half. And I could go on and on and on. These examples are just scratching the surface. The point I'm trying to make is that I've established a community of like-minded investors inside Altucher's investment network. And this has been like my dream. And my readers have consistently had the chance at incredible profits over the years by getting ahead of major stories before everyone else. In fact, anyone who's followed my work over the years has seen the chance to outperform the market and grow their wealth safely, quickly, and easily. And here's the best part of all. Despite what you might expect, when you respond to me today, you won't pay anywhere near $1,000. You're not going to pay $750 either. You're not going to pay $500. In fact, ordinarily, I price 6 full months of access to Altucher's investment network at just $299. That works out to, I think, around $12 per week, which is less than the price of lunch these days. But I know that thanks to the expected Starlink IPO, the profit potential in front of you right now is life-changing. It's honestly, this is simply too important to miss out on. And I also know that for those who get it now, before this multi-billion-dollar buyout is announced, life might never be the same again, which is why when you respond today, I can do much better than the 6-month price of $299 for you. Through this special offer that I've arranged, you'll pay just a small fraction of the regular $299 retail price. In fact, when you act today, you can join Altucher's investment network for a full 6 months for just $49. This is a tiny price to pay for everything you're going to receive. Within minutes of joining, everything we discuss will be sent to your email. You'll be able to read through my research and take action right away. But if this is so good, why am I practically giving it away at this price? Well, the truth is, I want you to do really well. We only make money when people stick around the Altucher's Investment Network community for the long term. That means giving you superior research and insights you're so thrilled with, you'll decide to stay with us year after year. Additionally, I know that once you try Altucher's Investment Network out and see for yourself the unmatched profit potential it delivers, you'll want to stick around for good. And that's why I'm making access to Altucher's Investment Network so affordable for you today, and that's why I'm adding one last clincher to seal the deal for you. Try Altucher's Investment Network risk-free for a full 3 months. I get it. I know this may be the first time you and I have met, so odds are you may still be skeptical. You may have even heard similar promises before that have never worked out. Because of that, it's only fair that you take a look at my work 100% risk-free. I want you to be able to try it out and decide for yourself whether or not this is right for you. So here's what I propose. Try Altucher's Investment Network risk-free for a full 3 months. And if you don't agree that you won't find this kind of profit potential anywhere else, call or email my customer support team and let them know. They'll immediately issue a full, no-hassle refund. And everything that I've promised you here today will still be yours to keep no matter what. I'm sure you can agree that's a fair deal. And if I don't deliver, you don't pay a cent. With that, I am hoping you are ready to get started. And if you are, click the subscribe now button you see right here on the page. And by the way, clicking does not obligate you to anything. It'll simply pop up a window to take you to a page where you can review this no-risk offer again. And as you saw, I believe Elon Musk is preparing to announce the biggest IPO in history for his company, Starlink. And I showed you the best examples of the rare opportunities that come around when the internet takes a massive step forward. We saw AOL soar an extraordinary 81,844% in just 7 years. We also watched as Earthlink skyrocketed 6,638% in only 3 years, and as Comcast catapulted 46,222% between 1980 and 2017. But I believe that this could happen again, only this time in a much bigger way, as Elon Musk announces the Starlink IPO. And even better, as I mentioned, you can go out and buy DXYZ shares in order to gain pre-IPO exposure to Starlink. And if you do so, I'm confident you can do quite well for yourself. But by far, and this is really the key, this is why I wanted to get this video out to you, but by far, the biggest profit potential will be found in the tiny company that I predict Elon will soon buy out for tens of billions of dollars. The company that's essential to his plans and to Starlink's rollout. Remember, this is the one where Elon is like, this is a game changer, going directly from space right to the device, and they have the only patent for it. I expect anyone who buys shares in this company before this happens will see the chance at life-changing profit potential. So listen, timing is important. I'm sure that this Starlink IPO announcement is happening very soon, particularly if it's going to happen, particularly if the actual IPO is going to happen in early 2026. He has to announce it way in advance. So this is one of those, again, those opportunities that are rare. I really want to get this. I really want you to read this report, which is why I put together this risk-free trial. Just click subscribe now below. You just get started. No obligation, but you just start to see. And if you've made it this far, you clearly recognize that Starlink will be one of the biggest internet disruptions of our lifetime. It could change how the world receives internet access. This is one of those moments in history. This could put giants like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile out of business and ignite one of the greatest periods of innovation in the 21st century. The stakes truly couldn't be any higher. And thanks to Elon's big buyout, which I'm predicting, savvy investors stand to make tens of billions of dollars in windfall profits. This offer is the best I could possibly make it, but of course, you must act today. So with that, just click below now. It just gets you started. As you've seen, this is one of the biggest market stories of my career, and I don't want anybody to miss it. I'm predicting Starlink's IPO could be announced at this upcoming major industry event. And while, DXYZ shares stand to soar on the news, the real profit potential, the one I am most excited about, will be found in the company that I believe Elon could soon buy out for tens of billions of dollars. The company, which you'll get the full details on inside my new report, Elon's big buyout, the #1 Starlink IPO stock to buy now. But once again, I expect the buyout will be revealed at this event just before Elon announces the IPO. That means you may only have a small window left to position yourself before the announcement is made. Trust me, a year from now, you will kick yourself if you put this off. If you've missed out on Elon's previous breakthroughs like PayPal, which went from a tiny off-the-radar startup to a massive $64 billion giant today, or Tesla, which is up an incredible 26,900% and counting since 2010. You won't want to miss this. It's your chance to set yourself up on the ground floor before everyone catches on to Starlink's IPO. I could guarantee you no one is reading this patent right now, but everyone's going to be looking for things like this after the IPO is announced. With that said, all that's left to do is just simple. Just go ahead, click subscribe now below to get started, and I will see you on the inside. Still here? No doubt you might still have a few questions that you want answered before getting started. Well, let me quickly address them now. Question number one, what is Altucher's investment network? How does it work? Leveraging my over 30 years, leveraging my insider network of CEOs, hedge fund managers, and other top insiders, I track down the biggest, most revolutionary new megatrends before anyone else. Things like cryptocurrencies, AI autonomous vehicles, quantum computing, many more. Then I find the companies pioneering the new megatrend and share them with over 150,000 private readers on Altucher's investment network. Altucher's investment network is the only place in the entire world where I recommend tiny stocks that my research indicates have the potential to target 1,000% plus over time. Every month, I will send you a new issue written in simple, easy to read language detailing the biggest opportunity I'm looking at now and showing you how to get a piece of it. Plus, I even show you how to take the buy or sell action inside your own account. It's really that simple. As I mentioned, it doesn't matter if you're a complete beginner or if you've been investing for years. It doesn't matter if you have $500 to start or $500,000. Inside Altucher's investment network, I will show you how to book huge gains from the biggest world-changing breakthroughs. I bring you my best new ideas every month. You simply read through my work and decide if you want to invest in the company I'm telling you about. And again, of course, there's that free reports that I'm giving, the free report about this Starlink stock. But every month in the monthly issue, there's going to be ideas like that. Question number two, what will I receive when I join? For starters, as a reader of Altucher's investment network, you'll receive 6 full months of issues, weekly emails, urgent trading alerts, a special website login, first read access to my best new ideas, quarterly Q&A calls, and more. Whenever I uncover a breakthrough new technology that has promised to change our world, I will alert you and show you how to play it in the markets. And that's just the beginning. Within minutes of joining today, you'll get the urgent report I've promised, titled Elon's Big Buyout, the #1 Starlink IPO stock to buy now. That way you can get started with everything immediately. Question number 3, how much money could I make from this? Well, that's a great question, and if history is any guide, the amount of money you could have the chance at from this situation is nothing short of life-changing. I showed you the best examples I could find of the rare moonshot opportunities that have come about every time the internet takes a massive step forward. And with perfect timing, we saw AOL soar 81,844% in 7 years. We also saw watch as Earthlink skyrocketed over 6,600% in just 3 years, and as Comcast catapulted more than 46,000% between 1980 and 2017. Now I believe it will happen yet again in an even bigger disruption led by the world's richest man himself, Elon Musk. And plus, for reasons you saw, Starlink could even be bigger than any of these companies over time. And by acting now, you could turn just one small stake into incredible wealth by getting in before Elon's potential buyout is announced. And best of all, it couldn't be any easier to take action. You'll get all the details on how to get started when you click the subscribe now button below. Question number 4, is your ordering process secure? I will tell you, this was very important to me. We use the latest encryption technology available to ensure your data is 100% protected throughout the order process. The entire process is fast, safe, completely secure. I've made sure of it. Question number 5, what if I decide this isn't right for me? No problem. As they say though, nothing ventured, nothing gained. But if you decide at any point in the next 3 months that, I don't know, my work just isn't right for you, just call up my team. Please let them know. They will immediately send you a full refund. You can even keep everything we've discussed here today just as my way of saying thank you. And if you've stuck with me this far, then all I can say is give this a try. So here's what I propose. Go ahead, click the subscribe now below, check my research out for yourself. You really do have nothing to lose by doing this, and I believe everything to gain. Question number 6, this all sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? It's also a very good question. The mark of a smart investor is skepticism and asking questions. I'm not surprised if you're wondering this. The only catch is that you really should position yourself now for your best shot. If you wait until after a potential buyout announcement is made, you'll be too late. So click the subscribe now button below and you get started. Question number 7, if I have any questions, can I speak to someone? Absolutely. If at any point you have any questions about your subscription, you can call up my Altucher's Investment Network customer care team and let them know. They're standing by 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time to answer any questions you may have and help you out. Just keep in mind, they are not able to offer any personalized financial advice. Question number 8, how long will it take to receive everything we've discussed? Instantly, within minutes of joining Altucher's Investment Network today, you'll find a new email in your inbox from me. Open it. Inside, you'll find the report we discussed today, Elon's big buyout, the #1 Starlink IPO stock to buy now, and it's ready for immediate download. You'll be able to download, read it, take action, all within just a few minutes. Additionally, you'll also find, and this is really important, you'll find your login to the special members-only Altucher's Investment Network website in that email, where you can view all of the past issues, go through our portfolio, check out the full research report library, and much more. The key is that you take action on this Starlink IPO stock as quickly as possible. We just don't want an IPO being announced. And with that said, go ahead and click below now to get started. Take your time to decide if you need to. You can still click the subscribe now button as long as you remain on this page. I thank you for your time today. I really look forward to welcoming you inside Altucher's Investment Network just moments from now.